Former staff members of Harry and Meghan are now reportedly calling themselves the Sussex Survivors Club, and it's not hard to see why. Allegations have surfaced that Meghan Markle has been difficult to work with, leaving staff terrified, reducing grown men to tears, and barking orders like a dictator. These reports aren't coming from tabloids, they're being discussed in respected outlets like The Hollywood Reporter, where multiple former staff members have shared their experiences. Meghan, who has been known as Duchess Difficult, is accused of belittling people and refusing to take advice. Interestingly, while Harry is described as charming, he's also seen as an enabler of Meghan's behavior. This is a growing problem for the couple, especially as they try to build their brand outside the royal family. As they make appearances, host parties, and even work on new shows for Netflix, these stories are now beginning to overshadow their efforts. It's not just the royal family calling them out anymore, this is Hollywood talking. Harry and Meghan's former chief of staff, Josh Kettler, reportedly left his post after just 3 months. Meghan's intense and demanding personality is being blamed for these exits, with sources saying the environment was so toxic, people were desperate to leave. Even though Meghan herself has tried to push the narrative that the media and royal family orchestrated rumors about her being difficult, these news stories suggest otherwise. According to insiders, the exact same behavior is being witnessed here in America, away from palace intrigue. It's becoming clear that this isn't just a royal family issue, it's a Meghan issue. Meghan addressed these labels on her podcast, saying that being clear and setting boundaries doesn't make her demanding, it makes her assertive. But for staff who've worked with her, this assertiveness has been described as something much harsher. Reports of her reducing grown men to tears and marching around barking orders have painted a different picture entirely. Even Meghan's friend, Sarah Chapman, who defended her as trustworthy and compassionate, can't seem to stop the wave of negative stories from coming out. And honestly, it doesn't help when the only people defending her are close friends who are either on the payroll or benefit from staying in her good graces. Staff are leaving, insiders are talking, and the picture that's being painted of Meghan is far from the humanitarian figure she tries to portray in public. The narrative she's been building, of being a victim of media attacks and royal oppression, is losing credibility. People are starting to see through it. Let's face it, this isn't just about Meghan being a strong woman, as some of her supporters argue. The reality is, no matter where she goes, the same pattern follows her: staff quitting, friends being cut off, family members being estranged. How long before we acknowledge the common factor here? Look, we all have people we don't get along with, and it's normal to cut toxic relationships out of our lives. But when you have this many people coming forward with the same complaints, it's hard to ignore. The fact that so many ex-employees refuse to go on the record, but are still leaking these stories to respected outlets, only adds credibility to their claims. Harry and Meghan have worked hard to position themselves as a new type of royal, one focused on humanitarian efforts and speaking out against bullying. But these new revelations of bullying behavior on Meghan's part could be what finally tips the scales against them. You can't claim to be fighting for kindness and fairness while treating people behind the scenes in this way. With more content expected to come from the couple on platforms like Netflix, it's worth wondering, how long can they keep up this facade before the public stops buying into it? The charm, the philanthropy, the victim narrative, it's all starting to crumble as more people from their past speak up. The cracks are beginning to show, and the tide is turning. People are no longer afraid to talk about what it's really like working with Harry and Meghan. And as these stories continue to spread, it becomes harder for them to maintain their carefully crafted image. Harry and Meghan may have tried to escape the pressures of royal life, but it seems like they've brought their own storm with them. The Sussex Survivors Club is just the latest chapter in a saga that's far from over.